Yes, sir. I had one question.
Yeah,
I have,
Chandrasekhar. Yeah.
the thing is like when like example, I don't know how to put, like Gayatri mantra is there. Okay,
Yeah.
I want my son or myself to recite it,
Yeah.
and I see what is the correct pronunciation of everything and all. But in the videos and all, suddenly you come across one comment saying that this has to be initiated by a guru. How far it is, and it could be harmful if it is not initiated by the guru and you don't pronounce it the proper way.
Okay.
Now I have been reciting, but in my own way, when there was no internet at that time, I was a small kid.
Okay.
Probably I was reciting what Radha was son.
Yeah.
But now we have got internet, everything. So when I'm telling my son, so I took everything, the whole day I took how to pronounce, what is the exact meaning, and one Sanskrit channel was there. So everything is fine. Okay, we got, okay, this is the most closest probable way of reciting it,
Yeah.
and how to recite and everything, research is done. But suddenly I came across this one, point saying that it has to be initiated by a guru. Now that's what is my doubt, like how to, interpret it, whether he can think the, guy in the internet who is explaining, can he think himself as guru, or can he think myself as, his guru and start reciting it, or, should it be formally going to a guru?
See, if you ask Yeshudas, he will sing Gayatri Mantra. If you ask Usha Uttap, she will do it in an entirely different style. If you ask a Telugu Brahmin, he will do it in an entirely different style. Probably in Kerala or Kashmir or North India or Northeast, it could be entirely different. Who will recognize which is the right one? Is there the best right is not there. I don't know whether you have seen my video on Gayatri Mantra. I think we had a satsang on Gayatri Mantra one time. Once we had. Right. So it is not what you chant in the way you chant, whether it has got some raga specific, whether it is initiated by somebody. Maybe there may be some Brahmin who must have chanted this 1,000 times without even understanding the meaning also. Does it mean because he became, here we call them as Pandit. Pandit is one who is Panda. Panda is black and white. So who can understand black and white distinctly is called a Pandit. So if you can categorize, segregate things, separate and understand, that is how the word Pandit would have come. That's how, otherwise Panda would have got word from the word Pandit also. I don't know whether they really understood the meaning of this. Right? I heard most of the people who are really learned also, maybe sometimes they chant Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savidur Varenyam. I am chanting it very slowly so that you can understand. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Na Prajodayat. I heard somebody chanting Diyo Yo Na Prajodayat. Na Prajodayat. Prajodayat means enlighten. Na Prajodayat means don't enlighten. So you are asking the sun that don't enlighten. Is it that the sun is going to listen to this and make you enlightened? Or just because you said na prajodayat, the sun is not going to enlighten? It doesn't happen. See, there is a frequency which is generated inside you. There is a concentration which is inside you. Actually, dhyanam and japam, any dhyanam and japam, any chanting of mantras, any such practices is actually a repetition of puja for you, yourselves, inside you, for the God which is sitting inside you. That's it. So there is no somebody else going to listen to that. So I am sure a small child is chanting will be entirely different from somebody who is chanting at the elderly age. Assume somebody is learning it. Don't you think there can be mistakes? So just because I am learning that and I made some mistakes, does it mean that no, I am doing a big papa? And there is somebody says that no, ladies should not chant Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri herself is a lady. Gayatri is a lady. How can only gents call ladies and ladies cannot call lady? Gayatri is a combination of three goddesses. Gayatri in the morning is Saraswati. During Brahma Muhurta, if you chant, it is for Saraswati. And you don't chant, need not chant for Saraswati. You chant for Brahma, because Brahma is the one who created every god and goddesses in this world. So you are chanting actually for Brahma, because I am sure Brahma will love to listen to his wife's name quite often. Probably Brahma will become more happier than calling himself. So Saraswati is to be called. Then daytime, the same Gayatri, that's why 3. The Gayatri will take the style of Lakshmi. So whom you are, while chanting, what is that your Sankalpa has to be? I am chanting for Lakshmi. That Sankalpa is more important. If you don't have Sankalpa and you keep chanting, it is like calling your daughter with a lot of good names without even having the Sankalpa of calling them. Hey, my dear daughter, when you call, don't you have to that feeling of dear daughter? Otherwise it becomes only a verbatim, right? And evening when you chant, you are calling Parvati. You are inviting Parvati for making you equipped to get the blessings from the Lord Sun. So if this Sankalpa is inside you, mistakes doesn't matter. I am sure if you are a teacher and your student knows your Sankalpa, probably a small mistakes from your side also will be accepted by the student, right? Assume you are doing it for your boss, and the boss knows that you are a dedicated, devoted employee. A small mistakes from you will be accepted by them. So it's all building a relationship between you and the God. That is what is chanting. Otherwise, God is not going to get any extra benefit because somebody chant 1,000 names, somebody calls them this, somebody is putting lot of flowers or light or something. It's all stupid. No, God is going to take account of all this. There is nobody called God. That's it. That's as simple as that. Right? There is a saying, the other day I was listening to somebody, if you start numbering A to Z to 1 to 26, each word has got, there is a, in I think I was listening to somebody during the engineering college. Now I am a professor in engineering college. They are teaching logical reasoning and all. So what will be the number for G? Somebody very fast. Students should, 7. Okay. O, God. 15. And O15. And D?
4.
So all that you add, it becomes 26.
Okay. GOD. Okay.
So it's like in Indian language we say Hora Shastram, Ha to Ra, starting to ending is Bhagavan. That is why Hari Sri Ganapataye Nama we are saying. That means you are finishing all the alphabets of, and that is true. When that may be the reason people have given the name God for God, because God means 26. All the letters are finished there, right? So it's our concept. It's our concept. It's all created by God, individual people, and you don't have to account for God by counting. I have seen people counting number of times, 1,000 times I have to chant something, or I have got 1,000 names available printed, I will keep reading. I am not saying it's bad. I explained the whole thing during our travel. I was explaining that doesn't mean it is not good. I am saying it's good, but it is like I love my son, therefore I will call him Pyari, Beta, Kunju, Ponnu, so many words I will say. Without having that love, if you start writing in a book and start reading all the name, how awkward it looks. Correct? So some poet had got a lot of love towards the god or goddesses. He named 1,000 names. So when you have real love towards God, you should chant. So Sankalpam is more important than all the rituals. Sankalpam is there fixed inside you. You don't require any rituals. More important is Sankalpam. To get that Sankalpam inside you, rituals are created. So it is not whether you make mistakes in Gayatri or not. I am not a Brahmin. I don't have any cross belt. So nobody gives me Gayatri as far as Kerala system is concerned. Otherwise, I will have to get converted into a Brahmin, right? But I'm sure. I remember when somebody asked me, a Brahmin who asked me, I was going to Shabarimala. That too, when some vacant seat was there, somebody forced me to go to Shabarimala. Otherwise, I am not a ritual man. And then while going, this person came who was a Pakka Brahmin who was totally ritualistic. He came and asked me, what you want? So a senior Brahmin is asking what he wants. What he can give is only Gayatri Mantram, I thought. So immediately I said, I want a Gayatri Mantram from you. So he initiated me. But I have not seen a great difference between what I was before and after.
Yeah, exactly. Even my thoughts are the same. And even when I'm telling, or I'm doing it, it's more of what you said, like, auto-suggestion, like, let my inner energy get, to a higher level of intelligence or, not asking an external God, but it, as you said, if you want to be more intellect, then you tell yourself, auto-suggestion. Like
so that it only says, Diyo yo na prajodaya. Yeah. Please enlighten me. So me from inside has to get enlightened. That's it. Okay. In spite of this, I may be chanting it maybe 1,000 or 10,000 times every day because that happens to be like a normal practice, like a breath. Unknowingly you do it. You don't even count. You don't even know that you are doing it. That is quite possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is having a sankalp while chanting similar to knowing the meaning of the chant? The chant works the same when you don't know the meaning of it.
See, it is always better to know the meaning. Otherwise, sankalpa will not come, no? See, I just said sankalpa is more important. If you say, I remember in one of the place where I went, somebody was singing this like a prayer. Then I asked that person who was singing about whom you are singing. I know that they did not understand that. Right? And it happened to me from a Christian missionary school, one girl was singing. Then I just called and then asked in front of the audience only, asked about whom. No idea. I said, you start chanting by slowly, word by word, and then identify. It is there inside, I said. Om doesn't make any sense for her. Bhur, bhuva, nothing. Immediately she said, yeah, it is about Devasya. Devasya is a common name in Kerala for a Christian. So she thought some person called Devasya, about whom the whole chanting is. Because rest of the words are all useless for her. So you imagine, without Sankalpa, what is the point in doing it as a process? You should understand word by word. And every mantra, every sloka which is written in Bharatiya Shastram has got huge meaning inside. When you go into that, it's huge. It's a Pandora box. You have to open and then look at it. You can do lot of learning from that. Not only that literature, you learn lot of sankalpas also inside of it.
How exactly will you define sankalpa?
Sankalpa is your imagination. That's it. How do we hear All India Radio drama, right? You are reading a drama or you are reading a novel. How are you creating the sankalpa? You create, you imagine yourself from the pictures what you have. Suppose you don't have, then you cannot create. So that pictures is what is given to us by our education, stories, what we see around, relate to that. Suppose you are a person who has never seen a buffalo. If I tell buffalo, automatically in front of you the buffalo picture is there. You must not have seen, but you have seen pictures, right? So your sankalpa depends on your world which you create yourself. So the more educated have a bigger sankalpa, less educated has got a lesser sankalpa. That is what the purpose of education is. That is what is realization. Your sankalpa becomes infinite. Otherwise, if I say infinite, people don't understand what is infinite. For a small person, the infinite is his house. For a small kid, the infinite is his, the baby's mother. Because the baby would not have seen anybody else in the world. The whole world is mother. But that is where you grow larger and larger. Your world is determined by you. Right? When I say, where are you from? If somebody says, I am from, that's why I asked Falgun, where are you? He said, I am in Hyderabad. So the Hyderabad picture map comes in front of me. I am sure he will not tell that he is from Hyderabad if he is in US. Somebody asks, where are you from? Immediately he will say, I am from India. Because you know you are standing in a world which is much bigger. Correct? So assume you are in a colony and somebody asks you, where is your house? You will not tell, I am from Hyderabad, right? You will tell the flat number or apartment number you will tell. So your localization or your globalization depends on the sankalpa which you have. The sankalpa depends on whether your world is smaller or bigger. A person who has got larger visibility will have a bigger sankalpa. A person who has got a less visibility, they will think that world is that. That's why some people get only clinging on to their family, their life, their well-being. Some people have got a larger well-being. That is why we keep saying Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. For whom? Only when you get the world under you, in your imagination, your sankalpa. So everything in this world is sankalpa. You are reading, learning, literature, understanding, history. Suppose you say somebody Jahangir traveled from this place to this place. For a child, Jahangir is also not there. Indian map is also not there. I remember teaching blind children how to draw India map. I have done experiments probably in early 90s, 91, 92. I used to go to schools here where there are visually handicapped people. Then I gave a pen and paper and asked them to draw India map. Do you think they will draw? No, they will not be able to draw. So what I did was I made a physical map. The physical map with Kerala portion is pasted with coconut shell. Andhra is pasted with rice. And every item which is commonly available there was pasted there. And I created a bathymetric map. You know what is bathymetric map? Topography. The up hills are shown as up hills. Valleys are shown as valleys. I made this as a project and asked that to be taken to those people, and then they just touched. One touch and that was good enough for them to immediately draw. And not only drawing. And I told that this place where you are touching this coconut shell is Kerala. So they know the Kerala boundary. Ask them to draw Kerala boundary. They draw Kerala picture beautifully. Probably much better than any student they would have done. So the sankalpa is what is not seen with these eyes. Sankalpa is from all the indriyas. The smell is a sankalpa. When I say jalebi, immediately the smell, the color, everything is in front of you. Right? When I say pizza, immediately water comes from the tongue because you have already tasted. The taste is there stored. That's a sankalpa which is inside you. So it's all created by indriyas. And once you create, you can have sankalpa to create something new out of the what is already created. Got it? So somebody has not seen the food item which is called kisapus. Have anybody seen kisapus? I am sure you have not seen kisapus. So from that I will tell you it's almost like idli. So what you have done is you have taken an idli in hand. So you are imagining it is not idli, it is something like idli. Suppose out of idli you press and then make a dosha, it will have a pizza shape. So a rice item which is almost like a between dosha and idli with that thickness, all of you created that. And then you have to put a cream on top of it. So what you have done is you have taken, some people have taken black cream, or somebody has taken chocolate, somebody has taken a white cream, because I did not tell which color. Now when I said chocolate, automatically you started pouring the other color, you would have removed it and then put the other one. So you are creating it by yourself. This is sankalpa. Actually there is nothing called kisapus. I just took a word which is not there in the world so that you will create yourself just like this. No? You understood? So I made you to become a creator. Who is a creator? Who has got Sankalpa. Yes, you might tell the same story to a Chinese fellow. I will tell him take an idli. He will start looking, what is idli? He will ask. So Sankalpa increases based on your knowledge. You have more knowledge, you have more Sankalpa. You have less knowledge, you have less Sankalpa. So Sankalpa is directly proportional to knowledge. That is what I am calling realization. It's a beautiful subject to be discussed.
Exactly, sir. When we chant about some goddess or gods, any deity, so sometimes we are imagining about, we are what do you say? We are praising them. We are talking about their beauty. Sometimes we are asking for something. So how will this sankalpa? Can you give an example by relating it to some god?
I think last week or sometime we have discussed that and then told these are all doshatrayam matkritam. 3 doshas which we have done. Actually, God has no shape. We have given shape to the God. The first mistake. Second mistake, God cannot be described. We described. Third, God doesn't have a place. We asked them to keep in some place. Asked Tirupati Bhagavan, you sit in Tirupati. Don't move from there. We have given, quarantine to him. Right? So each God is kept in different places. These are all our mistakes. Actually, there is nothing like that. God doesn't have shape. The last day also we mentioned that you must look at Mahabharata of Peter Brooks. Then you will know how Krishna is, how the Dhritarashtra is, how all these are Sankalpas. And also we told that most of the lady goddesses got saris because Ravi Verma gave sari to them. So it's all somebody's imagination. The picture is given and then we started imagining. I am sure if some Kashmiri person would have been the first painter or who painted God and goddesses, they would have had a different Kashmiri dress and then all. You can imagine Saraswati and Lakshmi and all in Kashmiri dress. It would have been much more beautiful. Why this sari and all? I don't understand. Right? So it's all because of somebody's mistake. We have this visualization. So it doesn't have. Who knows Saraswati's nose was like that and then all that is not there. But where did they get this? They got it from the slokas which are used for describing. So first poets made this description. Then pictures or painters made this description. Where did this the poets got? That is their imagination. Otherwise, how do we know this person was tall, this person was fat, this person had a belly, the other person was danceable, Ganesha had a big belly and all that. That's all somebody's imagination. But those imaginations or Sankalpa had a very specific symbolization. So that symbol has to be understood. That is symbolic. Most of them are symbolic. Right? If Ganesha would have been a fit person without a belly, you cannot have the snakes tied in at the belly. Because he shows, the snake shows diseases and most of the diseases comes from the belly because the food habits which you have, and that need to be taken care of. You have to do this exercise. That is what Ganesha says. That's our interpretation. We don't know. That is how the person has written. That is how the picture has. We don't know. That is how we do. That is what is called discovery. We start discovering some reasons for what we are doing and then giving a justification. So it looks logically correct. So unless and until somebody disproves it, this logic is acceptable.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, regarding the Sankalpa, you said that that's a kind of imagination that we have about God.
Yeah.
Right? But what about certain people, like you said, like how you told about the blind people? There are some other people who used to be there, who used to work in Brahmins' houses. I don't know if I should narrate this story as a whole. Hello?
Yeah, you tell, make it short.
Okay. One Brahmin used to do puja every day. and he used to chant some specific hymn to the goddess. So one day his maid servant came to him and asked him what was the hymn. Then he told him that is Kushmandam. Kushmandam actually means ash pumpkin. So you regularly chant this, then you will see the goddess. Okay. Then this maid started chanting that, and after a few days, this Brahmin was actually a bit what do you say? He had some psychic powers. So he saw this goddess with this maid. Though he was standing in the pure, with all the pure Sanskrit chandas and all that, he couldn't see goddess till that time. But this man's maid could see the goddess. Actually, she was with him as his maid. So I don't know whether the dimension of the meaning is actually relevant in all the context. I could be wrong.
That is why we have if somebody is most foolish, what do we call them?
Varamandan.
Viddi Kushmandam.
Viddi Kushmandam.
Yeah. So that's how the word came. That means you are most foolish who believes in something is happening, no? Understood? So it's all our imagination. Assume that you love Krishna and then look at the sky. You will see some picture of Krishna in the sky. Because you create that structure. That's how it is. I think that is all bhavana. Bhavana is different from sankalpam. Bhavana is artistic. Bhavana is faith. But sankalpam is creation. That's why I gave the example of the Kisapus and all. Bhavana is you are imagining there is God. So bhavana can come without having sufficient knowledge. Sankalpam is creativity actually. Sankalpikam is you need to shape it. You have to be creative. Creating is called shaping. Yeah. Otherwise it is bhakti. Bhakti can give you this sort of a feeling that it is
like
existing. Yeah.
it.
Feeling it is existing. That's it. Yeah.
So then one more question. How can we actually introduce these kinds of things like the hymns or certain religious prayers to children?
See, actually not required. I think you should not bulldoze people with a lot of informations, So minimum thing is good enough. That is why people say in Kaligalam, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna is good enough. And it should be a ritualistic activity at home with a satsang. I learned because in my childhood we are all our brothers and sisters are supposed to sit together and then chant this in the evening. Without that we will not get food. So we had no sankalpa. We were only looking at what could be the dinner. We know what is going to be the dinner. There is no much variety. It's only kanji and rice gruel, and maybe something will be there, jackfruit or maybe some chutney will be there. But that itself was our dream. Getting it early, finish this fast. And unless that is finished, that half an hour chanting is not there, we will not get it. So I am sure that has to be a routine which is part of our life. We do that. Is it because in your childhood you wash your hands to know that you have to be clean? No. I know that somebody will force you wash it, then only you will get food, right? So that becomes a routine habit for you. Probably for children it has to be a routine habit. I am sure that a KG student doesn't know Tingle Tingle Little Star. What does it mean? Who has written that? All that may not know. They don't know what is star, how far is that. Nothing will be known, but they will still chant a single tingle tingle little star. But a day will come, if you don't by heart it now, later you cannot analyze. So probably what you learn in your childhood will become a normal practice of, it's like a cow gulping it and then taking it out and then start chewing, right? Knowledge is like that sometime. So the sankalpas, mythology, stories, everything, we may not even know the characters. That is how the Kushmandam story and all started getting practices. That means you should have blind faith, don't ask question. So that has to be told to them. So they have created stories like this. There may not be a servant maid also. I don't know whether there were servant maids at home of Brahmins. That may not be there at all. No, these are all stories created out of it. That is how. But we know when we say Kuchela, he had a bad clothes. We know Krishna, and Krishna went from one state to a far off state to study. You can imagine. So I am sure a small child will not understand India map and then see Krishna went from this place to that place for study. From there he went to Dwaraka, constructed his palace, and all that people don't understand. But that I am sure that story will be there. But later you will be able to recollect and then think about it. Otherwise, who knows where is Mathura, where is, all these may not be there in the map. But at least you will know different place names, different names of people, different stories that later you can relate. So childhood is the time when you will have a lot of language learning. Best method to learn language is through poetries, and most of our mythology was poems. Therefore, poetry is part of our day-to-day activity, and every child likes stories. Definitely, you can keep making story. The other day, my brother called me, and then he told his granddaughter likes stories. Then I said, tell stories that earlier we had a traditional lot of stories. I don't think me or my brother remember all that mythological stories. I said, you tell that there was a big tree in India, and there is a tree in China, and one monkey jumped from India tree to China tree, so that they will learn China, India, then Afghanistan. Then from Afghanistan one donkey came, and then the fish was swimming, and then it got into Sri Lanka. That was a small place. Like that, if you tell, the story will make your child to learn, grandchild to learn lot of geography, I said. So traditionally we had a different method. I think today we should rewrite all those stories to make some new stories. Probably that would have been one reason where, because Rama went from this place to, all that would have been some story made like this, I'm sure. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Good enough.
In adult life here in US, they say, I mean, we are using Sankalpa word there back in India. Here they say, fake it.
Yeah,
Fake it.
it's all fake
to
on.
make it.
It's all fake on. Yeah. First fake it and then make
To
it.
make it.
Yeah.
Nice.